It was supposed to be a simple drive. A straight stretch of highway that I'd taken countless times before. The kind of road you don't think twice about. Just another night shift, another routine, nothing out of the ordinary. But, from the moment I hit the last turn off Route 49, something felt off. The wind howled louder than usual, rattling the truck's frame as if trying to get my attention. I brushed it off, focusing on the road. The headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating only the asphalt ahead and the occasional sign that felt more like a warning than a direction. I saw the figure on the side of the road first, just a glimpse, really. A flash of movement in the distance. I slowed the truck instinctively, my pulse picking up. Could it be someone in trouble? A hitchhiker? I don't normally stop. Not for strangers. Not on these deserted highways. But something told me to pull over, just this once. I pressed the brake gently, bringing the truck to a slow stop on the shoulder. I waited. Maybe they'd wave, maybe they'd walk closer, but no one did. The figure remained still. Standing there, just out of the reach of the headlights. I called out, my voice thick with hesitation, "Hey. You need a ride?" No response. My stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Suddenly, I saw it, a movement, but not from the figure. From the shadows behind them. A shape, tall and lanky, emerging from the trees, barely visible. My heart slammed into my ribs as the figure remained motionless, still watching. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. This wasn't right. I wasn't going to stick around to find out what it was. I slammed the gear shift into drive and floored the gas pedal, tearing down the highway without looking back. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was chasing me. Something not human. As I pushed the truck to its limits, I saw something flash in the rearview mirror, a dark shape just barely keeping up with me. It wasn't a car. It wasn't a person. It was something else. I couldn't breathe. My fingers tightened on the wheel, knuckles white. I had to get off this road. I had to get away. But what if it was already too late? The truck roared down the highway, the engine screaming as I pushed it faster, my foot cemented to the accelerator. But no matter how fast I went, I couldn't escape that feeling, something was closing in on me. It wasn't just the figure I'd seen on the side of the road. It was something in the air, something heavy, like the atmosphere itself was thickening around me. I glanced at the rearview mirror again. The shape was still there, but now it was closer, and it wasn't just running anymore. It was, moving differently. It was shifting, changing speed, weaving in and out like it was gliding, almost floating. My mind couldn't wrap around it. My heart was pounding in my ears as I gripped the wheel harder, my eyes flicking between the road ahead and the mirror. The miles seemed to stretch on forever. There was nothing but the black emptiness of the road, the occasional flicker of a sign in the distance, and the eerie feeling of being followed. The shape behind me was still there, just at the edge of the headlights. I thought I saw it, just for a split second, a flash of a face. Hollow eyes staring back at me. No, I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't tired. I wasn't hallucinating. This thing was real. And it wasn't stopping. I needed to make a decision. I wasn't going to make it much farther if I kept driving. The isolation of this stretch of road was a double-edged sword. There was no help coming, no escape if anything went wrong. I pulled off onto a smaller, less traveled side road, praying that I could shake it, that I could lose whatever was behind me. The truck bounced as I veered onto the gravel, my tires kicking up dust and rocks. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, the shape had changed. It was right behind me now. It was closer. Much closer. I don't know why, but I slammed on the brakes. The truck jerked forward before coming to a halt, the headlights illuminating a thick, dark mist in front of me. My fingers were slick with sweat as I held the wheel, my breath shallow and quick. The air was cold. So cold. That's when I saw it. The figure. The one from the side of the road. It was right in front of the truck now, standing motionless. Its face was a mask of darkness, no discernible features, but I could feel its eyes, if they even existed, burning into me. It wasn't human. Not anymore. I didn't wait. I couldn't. I threw the truck into reverse, gunning the engine, and tore back down the side road, fishtailing in the loose gravel. But this time, I didn't hear it following me. Instead, there was only silence. Then the ground beneath me rumbled. A low growl. A tremor in the earth. I looked in the side mirror and froze. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were more of them. Emerging from the darkness. Shapes. Tall, impossibly tall, and wide, with faces I couldn't comprehend. There were at least 3 of them. Maybe more. They were moving toward the truck. I wasn't alone anymore. My foot slammed the pedal to the floor, but the truck didn't move fast enough. It felt like I was stuck in place, as if the road itself was pulling me back, as if something in the air was keeping me here, forcing me to witness whatever was happening. The figures, there were now 5 of them, moved closer. I could see their limbs, long and unnaturally thin, stretched out like they didn't quite belong. Their skin was a dull, dark gray, like the shadow of a shadow, and their heads were too large for their bodies. I couldn't even make out their faces in the headlights, just shifting outlines, as though they were made of smoke, flickering between moments like an image on a broken television. I tried to steer the truck, but it felt like the wheel was slipping through my fingers. No matter how much I tried to turn, I was being drawn in, like gravity itself had changed. I glanced at the rearview mirror again, and for the first time, I realized I couldn't see the road behind me. There was nothing but a thick, swirling mist that had enveloped the entire area. The rumbling in the ground intensified. A growl, deep and guttural, came from behind me. Not from the figures, this was something else. Something massive. My heart was a hammer in my chest, and my breath was coming in shallow bursts. I needed to move. I needed to get out of here. But the road, it wouldn't let me go. I slammed the truck in reverse again, pushing the pedal to the floor, but this time, the truck wouldn't budge. The engine roared, but the tires only spun in place, digging into the gravel like they were stuck in tar. The mist began to creep under the truck, filling the cab with a freezing cold that left me gasping for air. I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't move, frozen shut, as if it had been welded in place. Panic rose in my throat. Then one of the figures was right there. A shadow beside the driver's side window. I could feel it, a presence, something other standing right outside, looking in. My hand was shaking so badly that I couldn't even grip the door handle to roll down the window. I felt it then, too. A pressure in the air, like something was watching, something that wasn't supposed to exist. I dared to look. Its face, it wasn't a face at all. Just blackness, with streaks of white that might have been teeth, might have been eyes, but they were too distorted to make sense of. The thing didn't move, didn't speak. It just waited. I could feel its presence in my gut, cold and alien, like it was pulling me toward it, dragging my very soul closer to whatever dark fate it had in store for me. I couldn't breathe. The air was too thick. I had to do something. I slammed the truck into drive, jerking the wheel hard to the left. The tires squealed as they bit into the gravel, and for a moment, I thought I might finally break free. But then I saw it again. A flash of something fast, rushing toward me from the darkness. It was the thing I had seen earlier, the one from the side of the road. It wasn't walking anymore. It was running, or rather, moving, toward the truck with terrifying speed. The air seemed to bend around it. I could feel the wind shifting as it came closer, too close, until it was right on top of me. I could hear its voice now. It was a whisper. Barely audible, but it felt like it was inside my head. You shouldn't have stopped. The mist was closing in. The figures were all around me now, their dark forms crowding the truck. I had no way out. No escape. The truck groaned beneath me, its engine sputtering like it was about to give out completely. The figures were pressing in closer, and that low, deep growl from the ground was only growing louder. My hands gripped the wheel until my knuckles ached, but I couldn't make the truck move. That voice, the whisper inside my head, kept repeating the same thing, like an echo reverberating through my skull, "You shouldn't have stopped." The words felt like a warning, but also like a judgment, as if the universe itself was passing sentence on me. I looked out of the side window. The fog was so thick now I couldn't see beyond the truck's own headlights. The world had shrunk to just this metal box and the figures surrounding it. I tried to push the door open again, but it still wouldn't budge. The air inside the cab was stifling, making my chest tight with each breath. The figures weren't moving. They were just standing there. Watching. I could feel their presence like a weight on my chest, but they didn't do anything. They didn't reach for the door, didn't try to open the window. They didn't need to. It felt like they were toying with me, like I was trapped in some kind of nightmare where time didn't exist. Then came another sound. It was faint at first, barely noticeable, but it was there. A crackling. A static, like something was trying to come through the radio. My heart skipped. The radio. I turned it on, the dial flickering for a moment, and then I heard it. A voice. A human voice. "Help, help us, it's coming." I froze. My breath hitched. It wasn't my imagination. I could hear it, someone, no, something, pleading through the static. It sounded distorted, muffled, like it was coming from far away, but it was real. It was real enough to feel it in my bones. "Help, help us, it's coming, the road." The static grew louder, and the voice faded again, replaced by the low hum of the radio. But it wasn't gone. The voice was still there, hiding in the background noise, always there, whispering through the speakers. I slammed the radio off, but that didn't stop it. The voice was still there, still inside my head, repeating those words over and over. "It's coming, the road, help us." Something moved outside. My eyes snapped to the window. One of the figures had taken a step forward, its face still hidden in the darkness. But now, I could hear it. Scraping. A dragging sound, like nails on metal. Slowly, it raised its arm. Its fingers elongated, stretching toward the window. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My body was frozen, trapped in the grip of terror. The hand moved closer, each finger stretching longer than the last, each joint cracking like old bones. It stopped just an inch from the glass, and for the first time, I saw its face, or at least, what could be called a face. It was a void, an empty blackness that seemed to swallow the light around it. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just an endless hole, an abyss staring back at me. And then I heard it again, that whisper. Louder now, as if the figure was right inside the truck with me. "It's too late." The hand pressed against the glass, and I could feel the air grow colder, the temperature inside the truck dropping to a point where I could see my breath. The glass fogged up, and as I watched, the outline of the hand began to distort, twisting and warping as if the very shape of it was bending the reality around it. I knew then that I wasn't just stuck in a nightmare. This wasn't just fear. This was something worse. And there was no escape. The temperature inside the truck plummeted, and I could see my breath in sharp, visible clouds. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the hand pressed against the window, its fingers elongating, twisting like something from another world. It wasn't human, that much I was certain of. I wanted to scream. To fight. To do anything to break free of this nightmare. But my body wouldn't cooperate. It was like I was paralyzed, caught in some unseen trap. The hand on the glass, so close, yet so impossibly far, began to shift again, the lines of its fingers blurring as if they were dissolving into the fog. Bang! The sound was deafening, like something heavy slamming into the side of the truck. I jerked forward, my head smacking into the steering wheel. The horn blared for a second, but it was drowned out by a low, growling sound, coming from all around me. I looked out of the side window, heart racing, but there was nothing there. The figures were gone. I was surrounded by darkness. The rumbling in the ground intensified again, vibrating through the truck, but it wasn't just beneath me anymore. It felt like it was coming from within the truck, like something was crawling beneath the floorboards, pressing up against the metal, trying to tear its way inside. Panic surged in my chest. I had to move. I had to do something. But my hands were shaking too badly to even grip the wheel. I couldn't drive, my mind was too clouded, my vision too blurred with fear. And then, just as I was about to give up entirely, I felt a sharp tug at my side, as if someone was trying to pull me out of the truck. I whipped my head toward the passenger side, my breath catching in my throat. There, standing inches from the truck, was a face. The same void-like darkness as before, but this time, it was inches away from the glass. Its form had grown more distinct. The absence of a face was almost comforting, at least in comparison to the swirling mass of black that was now stretching toward me. The thing opened its mouth, or at least I assumed it was opening its mouth, but no sound came out. There was just a buzzing, a low hum that resonated in my skull, vibrating through my entire body. The mist around us seemed to grow thicker, swirling, pulsating as if it was alive. The fog began to crawl inside the truck through the cracks in the windows, a cold chill invading the air, and then I heard the voice again, not from the radio this time, but from within my own mind. The road, it never ends. You're already one of us. The words hit me like a physical blow. I gasped for air, but it was as if the very oxygen had been sucked out of the cab. There was no escape. There was no way out. The road had become a trap, a prison that stretched on endlessly, and I was caught in it. I looked at the dashboard. The clock read 3:15 a.m., but something felt wrong. The time didn't make sense. I'd been driving for hours, and yet, the road seemed to loop back on itself, as if the very passage of time had ceased to exist. No more signs, no more exits. Just the same endless stretch of highway. And I wasn't alone anymore. I could hear the whispers, feel the presence of those things all around me, their shapes pressing against the truck. The ground rumbled again, and I knew, deep down, that it wasn't just the truck that was being hunted. It was me. I had become part of the road. Part of something darker. Something that was never supposed to exist. And as I looked at the fog pressing in from all sides, I realized, there was no escape. No one would come to help. The road had claimed me. And I would never be free. The air grew thicker. The whispers, that cold, invasive hum, grew louder, filling my ears until it felt like my skull was going to crack open from the pressure. Every corner of the truck felt like it was closing in on me, pressing in, suffocating me. The fog was inescapable now. It wasn't just around the truck anymore, it was inside, swirling in the air, choking the very life out of me. I couldn't see the figures anymore. They were all around, but now they were in the mist, moving like shadows that didn't quite fit into reality. The shapes of their long, distorted limbs barely brushed against the truck, but it felt like 1,000 hands were trying to pull me out, trying to drag me into the void. But I couldn't move. My body was frozen. Not from cold, but from fear. The kind of fear that goes beyond instinct, beyond rational thought. It was primal, something older than anything I'd ever known. I had to get out. But how? How could I escape this? This wasn't a place anyone could escape from. The road wasn't just a road, it was a trap, a place where time bent and broke, where the laws of the world didn't apply anymore. The truck shuddered, and the rumbling beneath it became deafening. The ground felt like it was splitting apart. Something was coming. Something bigger than the figures. Something that had been waiting beneath the road, buried for, who knows how long. I felt the truck lift. Just for a second, like it was being dragged. My heart lurched into my throat, and the fear was so intense it made me dizzy. I slammed the truck into drive again, the engine roaring back to life. The tires spun, but this time, I felt the road give way beneath me, like I wasn't on asphalt anymore but something much darker. I slammed my foot on the brake, but it was too late. The truck lurched forward, as if being yanked by an unseen force, and in that instant, the fog flooded in, pouring in through every crack, consuming the truck completely. The air turned ice cold, my breath coming out in thick clouds. It felt like the very atmosphere had changed, become wrong, like it was no longer the world I had known. I looked around the cab, and that's when I saw it, something that made every hair on my body stand on end. The rearview mirror. It was gone. Not broken, gone. Replaced by blackness. Absolute, suffocating darkness. And then I heard it. A voice. But this wasn't a whisper. It wasn't in my head anymore. It was real, like someone was speaking directly into my ear. You should have never stopped. You belong to the road now. The mist thickened around me. I looked forward again, and in the haze, I saw something. Something big, too big to be real, moving just beyond the reach of the headlights. It was massive, a shape too large for the road, a looming presence that stretched for miles. It was coming toward me. I couldn't even move. I couldn't even scream. My throat was dry, my limbs numb. And then, I saw it up close. The thing that had been watching me. It was like nothing I could comprehend, a mass of darkness, of shapes that shifted and moved as if they weren't even bound by the rules of space and time. And as it loomed closer, I felt something cold and sharp brush against the side of the truck. A claw. A massive, impossibly long claw, scraping against the metal, its touch sending a wave of dread through my body. This was it. There was no escape. I could hear it now, this low, vibrating hum that came from the very air itself, and I knew without a doubt, this was the end. The road had swallowed me whole, and it would never let me go. The last thing I saw before everything went black was that face. The same void, the same endless darkness. And I knew, in that instant, that I wasn't just stuck in some nightmare. I was trapped. Forever. And no one would ever know what happened to me. I don't know how much time passed. Days? Hours? Or perhaps it was only moments. The passage of time had lost all meaning. When I came to, I was no longer in the truck. I was, somewhere else. The air was thick with a pungent, metallic smell, and the ground beneath me felt unnaturally soft, like the earth was shifting beneath my feet. My body was stiff, my limbs aching, but I managed to push myself up. The first thing I noticed was the silence. A silence so absolute it hurt, like the entire world had been swallowed whole. No birds, no wind, no distant sounds of passing cars. Just, nothing. I looked around. The landscape was unfamiliar, but it was eerily familiar too, like I had seen it in my dreams. The road was gone. In its place was a vast expanse of barren land, stretching out to the horizon. The sky overhead was a dull, grayish hue, unlike anything I had ever seen. There were no stars, no sun. Just an endless, suffocating fog. I reached down and brushed my hands against the ground, feeling the cold earth beneath my fingertips. It wasn't dirt. It was wrong. It was soft and pulpy, like the ground was decaying, like it was alive in a way that it shouldn't be. The fog wrapped around me, thickening, blurring my vision, but I knew I had to keep moving. I couldn't stay here. There was something pulling me forward, like an invisible force urging me to walk, to keep moving, to not stop. And as much as I feared it, I had no choice. I couldn't go back. I couldn't even remember the way back. My feet dragged across the ground, every step heavy, like I was walking through some kind of thick, sticky substance. The landscape remained unchanged, endless, empty, suffocating. And then, as I walked, I saw something. A figure. It was in the distance at first, barely visible through the mist. But as I approached, I could see it clearer. A person, standing still in the fog, facing away from me. I couldn't make out any features, just the vague silhouette of someone, their form swallowed by the mist. I tried to call out, but my voice didn't come. It was as if the fog had consumed it, like there was no sound in this place. I took a step forward. Another step. My breath caught in my throat. I had to know who this was. I had to know if they were real. But as I got closer, I felt it, this sense of wrongness, like this figure wasn't just a person. It wasn't human. And then, as I reached out to touch them, the figure turned. I froze. It wasn't a person at all. It was one of the things. The void-faced, twisted shape I had seen before. But now it wasn't just standing in the mist. It was alive, and it was reaching out toward me, its long fingers stretching toward my face. I couldn't move. I couldn't run. I was frozen in place, watching as its featureless face leaned in, its absence of expression more terrifying than any monster could be. You belong to the road. The words came through my head like a thunderclap, so loud I thought my skull might split open. I tried to scream, but the sound was trapped inside me, like my body had forgotten how to move. And then, everything shifted. The ground beneath me cracked open, and I fell. Fell into darkness. The figure disappeared. The mist closed in. And the road, the endless, empty road, came back into view, stretching infinitely before me, pulling me back. I knew it was too late. I knew I would never escape this place, this nightmare. I was the road now. The road that had claimed me. And as the fog swallowed me whole, I understood. I had become part of something far older and more terrifying than I could ever comprehend. The road would always claim its own. And I was its prisoner forever. I was aware of my own breath, shallow and ragged, but there was no sound in this place, no sound except the relentless, pounding hum of the road. I could feel it now, beneath my skin, inside my bones, like a vibration from the deepest part of the earth. The road, the mist, the darkness, it all fused into one, becoming part of me. There was no escape. There was no before. Only this. I couldn't remember how I had gotten here, or when it started. I didn't remember the feeling of the truck beneath me, the motion of driving, the world outside. It was as if all of that had been erased. All I had now was this endless road, stretching on and on through the infinite mist, its boundaries impossible to see. The air was thick, suffocating with a coldness that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. I couldn't tell how much time had passed, minutes, hours, years. Time didn't make sense anymore. I only knew that the road was alive now, alive with an ancient, gnawing hunger. And it had claimed me. The whispers had faded, but their presence lingered, like a hum in the back of my mind, impossible to ignore. I was part of the road now, an echo within its endless expanse. My feet moved, but I wasn't walking. I was being pulled. Every step I took felt like I was falling deeper into the abyss. The fog pressed in on all sides, and I knew it would never let me leave. It didn't want me to leave. I was made for this place, bound to it like the others who had come before me, their faces as lost to time as mine would soon be. Their voices, if they had ever had one, were now just another whisper among many. And as I walked, no, as I was pulled forward, I saw something again. A figure. It wasn't close, but I could see it, standing in the distance, silhouetted against the fog. Another one of them. Another one of the creatures. I didn't know anymore, but I felt the pull toward it, the need to understand. To know. I stumbled forward, my body moving against its will, my limbs heavy as if filled with lead. My heart raced as the figure came closer, its shape becoming clearer with each step. And then, I stopped. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It was me. I was looking at myself. The figure in front of me was a reflection of everything I had become, hollow, faceless, a shadow of the person I had once been. The darkness that had consumed me had consumed it as well. "You are the road," the voice echoed, this time louder, inside my head, my very soul. It wasn't a question. It was a statement, a cruel truth. I tried to scream, but no sound came. And then the figure stretched its arm toward me, and I felt it, the pull. The same pull I had felt before. The road had claimed another one, and now it was calling me to join it, to lose myself completely in its endless cycle. It reached out, and I reached back, knowing what would come next, knowing there was no turning back. As its hand closed around mine, everything blurred, and I felt myself slipping, fading, becoming one with the road. And the endless cycle began again. There was no moment of clarity. No epiphany. Just the oppressive weight of darkness, of endless fog, of the road that would never end. But then, as my hand touched the figures, something shifted in me, something deep, like a last, desperate spark of defiance. I tried to pull away, to fight it, to scream again, but my voice had long since vanished, swallowed by the road itself. Yet I couldn't let go. I couldn't give in. The figure before me, my own reflection, was the embodiment of everything that had consumed me, hollow eyes, featureless face, just an empty shell standing in a void of endless mist. But now, as my grip tightened, the road seemed to shift. It was as if something else, something greater, was watching, waiting for the right moment. For the first time in what felt like ages, I felt a pull of something more. Something alive. A sense of self. A sliver of freedom. With everything in me, I wrenched my hand free from the cold grasp of the figure before me, staggering backward into the dark mist. I felt the weight of the road, the grip of whatever darkness had taken hold of me, loosen ever so slightly. But I knew it wasn't over. The road would always be there, lurking, waiting. But now, there was a new understanding, a final, fleeting realization. I wasn't just the road. I was more than it. I was still me, somewhere deep inside, despite everything the road had taken. Despite everything the fog had consumed. I looked back, one final time, at the shadow of my own figure. And then, I began to walk. Not forward. Not toward the road. Not toward the endless fog. But away. It was hard. Every step felt like I was walking on jagged, burning glass. My mind screamed to return, to fall back into the familiar darkness, to submit once more to the road that had become my prison. But I kept walking. The darkness screamed its fury at me. The fog pressed tighter, the road rumbled beneath my feet, a deep, threatening growl that reverberated in my bones. But I didn't stop. Not this time. I took another step. Then another. And for the first time since I had stepped onto that cursed highway, I saw something. A glimmer of light. A tiny crack in the suffocating fog, a distant sliver of something real. It wasn't much, just a sliver of hope, barely a pinprick of light in the endless blackness. But it was enough. I ran. I ran toward that light, faster than I thought I could, my body propelled by that last shred of resistance, by the defiance that refused to let me die on that endless road. The road held its fury, the mist thickened, and the ground trembled beneath my feet. But I didn't look back. I broke through the fog. And then, there was nothing. No road. No figures. No endless stretch of highway. Just quiet. Peace. For the first time, I breathed. Deep, uncontested air. My heart slowed, and the fear that had gripped me for so long faded. I was free. The road, the mist, the darkness, they were behind me now, and I would never look back.